What's up, Spartan fans? It's Jacob Katzenegger here back for another episode of the Michigan State Spartans Insider Podcast. Football season well underway now. Michigan State getting closer and closer to a game with Nebraska, but basketball is coming up a little bit. Just a couple weeks away from now, they'll be having an exhibition game at the Breslin Center against Bowling Green. They'll have another exhibition game at UConn. Then they'll start the regular season, the games that count, on one of the first days of November against Colgate. So they're already in the middle of practice now. Second official week ongoing. Izzo talked yesterday, so you can go watch the video of that on the SI YouTube on the On SI YouTube channel. But we're going to go over some of the early storylines from, what are the things that are concerning, what are the things that, is exciting about this Michigan State basketball roster, the team's makeup right now, coming out of one of the best seasons in a while last year. As about as exciting of a non-Final Four season as it gets. They won the Big Ten by 3 games, 17-3 conference record, which is especially insane in this expanded Big Ten. It was something Izzo talked about. You're playing so many teams only one time, so the prep is more difficult throughout the conference schedule. It's such a big grind in the Big Ten already with how good the conference is. But I think one of the biggest things people want to know about this team is where are the threes going to come from. Michigan State last year, despite the amount of times they were able to pull out wins, they could not hit a three-pointer. Shot about 31% as a team last season. They were ranked in the 300s nationally in that one, about 320 in all of Division I basketball. So that was a big cause for concern, and they're losing a lot of their best shooters. Jaden Akins, he's gone. Jace Richardson was their best shooter last year. He's gone. Trey Hallman's transferred out to NC State. So when you look at it, their top three-point maker from last season that's back is Jackson Kohler. He hit 19 of them last year, shot about 37%. Love Jackson Kohler. Probably not the guy you want as your top three-point shooter. So that means they're going to have to fill in the gaps in some other spots, whether it be some guys moving up in the rotation or through the transfer portal. And that's what Michigan State is going to be doing. Trey Fort, he's a guy who's going to be taking plenty of threes, I'm sure. Shot it with a bunch of volume at Samford last year, almost 200 attempts on the year, made 76 of them. Shot that at about a 38% clip. So anytime you're living in those high 30s, near the 40% mark, you're going to do just fine. And the name that Izzo has brought up, that's, I wouldn't say it's surprising, but when it's a guy who didn't really play a whole lot last year, he just kind of perks your ear up a little bit. He thinks Curtain can be this team's best shooter. He said it a couple different times now. We didn't see much of Curtain last year. He appeared in about half of the games, but it's usually in garbage time. There were a couple of games where he was getting legitimate minutes, but you never really saw him. You didn't see him play 30 minutes. You didn't see him play 25 minutes. But that could be the case this year, depending on how he plays. Shot only 9 threes the entirety of last season, only made 2 of them. So it's just kind of one of those things where I was like, oh, okay. I mean, obviously Izzo has seen Curtain play a heck of a lot more than any of us have in the gym and practice, see what he's been working on. So you got to take his word for it at least a little bit. One of the other interesting things is Cohen Carr. He's certainly been developing it. The basketball team has been posting on social media, and they've been showing clips of him shooting catch-and-shoot threes. There was one where there was a relatively good closeout. Still hit it, catch and shoot. It was real. He wasn't holding it for a while and then shooting it. It was quick, catch and release. We saw Cohen Carr shoot a good handful of threes. I think he was 5 for 15 last year, if I'm not mistaken. But whenever he shot the three, it was almost always, maybe a couple exceptions, he was in the corner and he was wide open because he's Cohen Carr. You don't want him to go to the rim. So he had plenty of time to square up his shoulders and then shoot the shot. Pretty much any Division I athlete, you give them enough time to shoot, they can be a threat out there, But now he wants to become he really wants to be able to cause some attention out there on the perimeter, and if he can start hitting threes like at a legit clip, that's going to do so much for Michigan State's offense. I could do a 20-minute, 30-minute podcast off of that alone. Basically just causing that can help the spacing, and it can also help him get to the rim as well. Carson Cooper, there was a clip of him that the basketball team posted on social media. He shot a trail catch and shoot three. All the people on the roster, he might be the last person you'd expect him to go shoot that. MSU basketball made him available the other day, and he got asked, "Hey, you're gonna shoot some threes this year?" And he's like, "Well, if I'm open, yeah, why not?" He's a senior. He kind of explained it like, "I'm a senior. I've paid my dues. I've worked on this for a while. I think I've earned the right to be able to, take a couple of threes if it's an open shot," which, seems like a fair point. Again, if you can make it, it's all what the numbers say. Open threes are generally a good idea. Another guy you should probably keep your eye on there is Jeremy Fears Jr. Definitely struggled with the 3-point shot a little bit last year. Kind of has an awkward looking jump shot. Last year kind of seemed like he had a hitch in the movement a little bit. Shot 34% last year, but it didn't really feel like that, if that makes sense. Only hit 13 threes, and again, for a point guard, that's a relatively low number. Obviously, with how good of a facilitator he is, I'm not particularly worried about how well Fears is going to play, but that would be another element that you would certainly like to see Jeremy Fears develop into his game and into his redshirt. He's a redshirt sophomore. That's kind of the other crazy part about Jeremy Fears Jr. He has 3 seasons left to go with this team. Again, not because of the greatest circumstances, because of all the adversity faced as a true freshman, but got that extra year of eligibility and was a redshirt freshman last year. Starters for the team. Obviously, Izzo's not going to be like, okay, at the 1 we're going to do well. At the 1 we know it's going to be Jeremy Fears, who was the starter last year. That you don't really need any supreme expertise to know that. Other places, it might be a bit of a mystery. If I had to guess who might be at that 2-guard spot on the first game of the season against Colgate, I would maybe guess Trey Fort. Michigan State took him out of the portal for a reason. Izzo was kind of complaining about his defense at the availability yesterday. Compared him to his 99-year-old mother. Got some laughs, but, that's Izzo for you. But Trey Fort, his offensive game cannot be ignored. His ability to shoot cannot be ignored. He didn't come here not to play. I know that's probably not something Izzo particularly cares about too much, but he wants to go play. I'm sure he'll figure his way out here as he gets more practices under his belt as we get closer to the season. If it's not him, could be Curtain as well. Again, he's a guy who's making that move from the bench, the lower portion of the bench area, to up into the rotation now. Forwards. I honestly, if I had to guess right now, I think MSU's probably going to go on the bigger side. He's not... Sorry, but it's just like, excuse me, I'm just trying to go through this right now. But Cohen Carr, I think they're going to go big. I think you'll see Cohen Carr, Jackson Kohler, and Carson Cooper perhaps on the first game of the year. Cohen Carr playing the 3, especially if he can shoot. If Cohen Carr can truly shoot the 3 ball, why can't he play the 3? He's uber athletic. Though the Kohler and Cooper might clog up the paint a little bit, though Kohler's certainly out there on the perimeter. He can cause problems out there if you leave him open. He can splash it. He had that big game against Illinois on the road where Tom Izzo broke Bobby Knight's Big Ten record that day, where he hit a couple of threes just kind of out of nowhere because they left him open. Yep. So I think you'll see Cooper probably move into the starting center role here in this one. Kohler kind of be in that 4 spot as well. I don't think that'll necessarily be the starting 5 the entire season. I don't think anything is completely static yet. We're only in the second week of practice. There's still a whole lot to figure out. But the last thing, I think this is a deep team as well. I don't know if it'll be to the extent that Michigan State was last year, where you had like 10 guys who could like reliably play for 15, 20 minutes every single game. But there is legitimately 10 players down here who are, rotation worthy. It's the 5 guys I brought up already in the starting lineup: Fears, Fort, Carr, Kohler, Cooper. But also like the Divine Ugochukwu. He's going to be a fine backup point guard option for Jeremy Fears. He can pass it, play some good defense as well. We're getting Curtain, guy who is speaking highly on. They like Jesse That's something they were talking about that last year when he was redshirting. So we'll see what type of role he has. And then the two freshmen, like they're the 4-star recruits, Cam Ward and Jordan Scott. The rankings were high enough. You can't ignore or scoot them away and say they're not going to play. Again, we're not going to know that for a while, probably. I mean, Izzo's never just going to, here's my lineup to the media of all people as well. But it's a Tom Izzo led team. You know, you can always feel optimistic about a Tom Izzo team. They've made 27, 28 straight tournaments. I'm trying to remember the number. I mean, it goes up every year. It's tough to keep track of. And also, you have the COVID year. You can count it because, they would have made the tournament if there was a tournament when it got canceled. But still, it's going to be it looks like another good team on paper for Michigan State. There's a couple things you worry about, like the three-point shooting. But after so many years where you have quality basketball, you kind of get the sense of, they're going to figure it out. But yeah, once again, thank you all for watching and listening once again. I'm Jacob Katsanika, continuing to bring you daily sports coverage of your Michigan State Spartans. Keep checking in here and on SpartanNation.com for more coverage of Michigan State football, basketball, and other sports. And once again, I'll see you guys around.